Now, the main thing about that is that you want your audience to read and understand that information. It's sort of obvious, isn't it? I mean, there's no point in doing it all if people don't read and understand it, or can't, or there's barriers against it. And that's not just sort of barriers because of a physical impairment or a learning disability or whatever, but just looking at, sort of, you've got to make it attractive enough for people to want to look at it. Otherwise there's no point. I mean, you can spend hours doing, some of the stuff I read, I think, well, I don't read, some of the stuff I don't read, which is actually most of it. I just, think, oh, you might read the first sentence. If the first sentence doesn't catch you, you're not going to. And luckily I'm not like poor Anne who has to read all these policy documents and seems to do it, but I said, no, life's too short. And it's, so really what we're going on to do...
I want you to train all the policy writers.
Yes,
please.
Yes, that would be great. So how do we do this? How do we make our information more readable, more easily understand? So first of all, I think you need to know why you're writing the information. You need to know what the purpose of it is. If you don't know what the purpose is, no one else is going to know what the purpose is. So you've got to be very clear in your mind what you're doing. Are you promoting an organisation? Are you giving information about a condition or whatever, or what's happening in the housing market or whatever? And you need to then think about who you want to read it. Who is your intended audience? Do you know who your intended audience are? Or are you wanting to attract more people? If you're wanting to, if you're just writing, if you're a small organisation and you've got 20 members and you're quite happy with that, you can use the language that everyone will understand, and you may know that none of them have got any, sort of access issues. So that's fine. But if you're actually wanting to spread the word, there's no way you can know what these people's needs are. You can't possibly know. So if you can make your information as clear and as readily understood as possible, it's more likely that you'll get people to read it and understand it. One of the sort of really important things I think about information is the appearance of a document. I mean, we're talking about written documents at the moment. Is the appearance of that. If it's attractive, it can be attractive to absolutely everyone because people have different ideas. But if it's sort of well laid out and sort of attractive to read, more people will read it. I've got a leaflet here, a handout here, which is from SAFE. You're getting this free. This is SAFE training, but I'm giving it for nothing. But this is nice. Guidelines for producing accessible information. And I mean, some of you, I don't know, will know about these things. Have you know what a non-serif font is, for example? You know what a non-serif?
Are you looking at it?
Yes, yeah. There's all got this sort of use and avoid, and really the avoidance of the things is like, just because a computer has, I don't know how many fonts you have in a computer.
Lots and lots.
You don't need to use them all. You don't need to use them all. And fancy fonts or serif fonts tend to be, quite inaccessible for a lot of people, and they also look a bit unattractive, I think. Especially if they're mixed. That's like one of my big fears. Small. Someone mentioned something about a larger font size. Small font size can be really, really difficult to know. But large blocks, one block of text is a really, really big turn off. If you just have a huge big paragraph and no spaces, that can, you think, can I be bothered going through this? I frequently don't. Italics, all these sort of things, uppercase. The thing about uppercase is that you're not taught to read in uppercase. I think a lot of people think it will be clearer, but actually you're not taught to read in this. It's actually quite difficult to read a whole, a large bit of text. Some
It's the shape.
Yeah, because of shapes. Justify the text, that's when, you get the nice neat end, on the right hand is a really big no-no, which is a difficult one because a lot of in academic circles and business circles, they like that neat edge because it looks better. But actually, for lots of people, that makes it really difficult to read, particularly for people with dyslexia. Do you find
justify that? Yeah, definitely.
It's a very difficult.
It's funny to describe. It's hard enough trying to read it when it's typed normally, but when it's justified, it's as if they're swimming into one another. It's weird. It's something. It's hard to describe. It's as if the letters are moving.
Changing the shape.
Yeah. And then you get this ripple, you get a sort of ripple effect. The time when you might actually, I'm not dyslexic, but I have experienced that once or twice. And if I'm lying in bed reading my book, and you know how novels are all written in Times New Roman, justified text in small print, and it's like, so you're lying there and you're just about falling asleep, and then you can get this ripple, the thing, and that's. But for people with dyslexia, that can happen all the time. So it really is not a good idea. Centre text is even worse. Centre text is ghastly, and it's becoming so common.
Yeah.
Very common. All subtitles on the telly are all centre text. Now, if you think about it, you're taught to read left, right, and that's what your eyes are used to. If you're centre text, you're going from left to right, and then you're there, and then you're there, and into the middle, and it makes it really, really difficult to follow a thing. Things like, in terms of the use of language, using letters, it's fine. If you're talking among yourselves in voluntary action, you might say VA. You're not going to say voluntary action all the time. But if you went out to the big wide world and were saying VA, you don't even know what you're talking about. So you've got, again, that's thinking about your audience and knowing what